Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jazmynn. If you're new here, I've been making videos about books. The last video I made was all the books I read in February. Today we're going to catch up on the books I read from March to June, and then make sure you subscribe because we will be on track for July and you don't want to miss those videos. I use the Fable app and it tracks like the books I read. So far I've read 39 books this year, and we're just gonna dive in. So in March, I started the Zodiac Academy series, which has taken over my entire life, and I'm currently doing a reading vlog where I talk a little bit about where I am in that series, but probably no once I get through this list. But anyways, I read The Awakening, which was the first book, and it is by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, and this series is basically about these two twins who find out that they are fae and they've been living in the human world not knowing the extent of their powers and their wealth. They live poorly in the human world. They get zipped away to Zodiac Academy and they experience a ton of like bullying and a lot of hardship while they're at the school because they're trying to figure out what is even going on with them, who they are. But at the same time, there are 4 or 5 of the current ruler's sons at the school, and they do not want the twins to recognize their full power and potential, so they do anything they can to take them down. And honestly, it was really hard to read because the bullying was borderline assault. Like, it was kind of skipping around it, but it just made me super uncomfortable. For the authors to invoke that feeling in me, I think is pretty incredible with the way they went about it. If that makes any sense. I rated that book 4.5 stars, and my review was, the only reason this isn't 5 stars is because of the constant abuse that occurred with the Vega twins. It's hard to explain because it was all done with the magic, but the undertone of sexual abuse and molestation, I feel like we're definitely there. And with how often it occurred, it was a little disturbing and hard to read at times. Aside from that, I was completely hooked every single page. I could not put this book down. It's confusing deciphering between the twins and the heirs, but I love how everything I really like about astrology was incorporated into this book and everything about fae magic, etc. Just like a little trigger warning, if you are thinking about this book, but if you are someone that's super into like zodiacs and astrology, this is a no-brainer book. Like, I honestly am confused on why it took me so long to even get into it. Moving on, I read Ruthless Fae also in the month of March, and The Reckoning. So those are the first 3 books in the Zodiac Academy series, and Ruthless Fae I rated 4.75, and The Reckoning I rated 5 stars. The Reckoning was just honestly incredible. It was just so good, and the way it ended, I cannot wait to jump back into the series and start book 4 because, long story short, the Vega twins have understood and reached their potential and have found their place at their school. But through these first 3 books, their relationship with the sons becomes a little bit more flirtatious and a little bit, it kind of gives me when you're in school and you have a crush on somebody and you're like mean to them. Like, that's kind of the vibe between like the relationship with the sisters and the sons at this school. So I'm gonna leave it at that, but The Reckoning was my top, like, it's, oh my gosh, like, I just thinking about it, I'm like, it was so good. Let me see what my review was for that. All right, I can't say because it has spoilers, but just know it's so good. Okay, moving on from that, March to April, I started Dark Fae, which is number 1 in the Ruthless Woods of the Zodiac series. This is a 5-book series, and it is recommended to read it in between the Zodiac Academy series, but it is a prequel to Zodiac Academy. So it's 5 books, read those 5, and then you start back into Zodiac Academy. And after reading the first 3, I really like the order because I feel like it's so weird how they were able to like incorporate some of these things. One of them is a sightseer, and some of the visions he has are exactly what happens in books 1 through 3. And it honestly feels like a movie, like able to uncover his death, and she meets these 5 guys that he was roommates with and is trying to kind of spy on them and learn a little bit more about them. But she starts to fall in love. So I'm going to leave it there. It's honestly so good. And then each book kind of like talks more about each character. So the first book is more so about Elise and like what she's doing, who is like our FMC. And there's 5 MMCs and we like switch perspectives. I love a switching POV. Savage Fae is about, I don't want to read any of the reviews because I might have spoiled them, but if you guys want to, you can go follow me on Fable and like look at my book reviews. But the ones that might contain spoilers, like it has that little hidden thing there. April to May is how long it took me to finish Vicious Fae, April 22nd to May 1st. And then The Rose Bargain, I started by Sasha Payton Smith, 5 stars. This book is basically like Bridgerton and the Shepherd King series, One Dark Window, combined. And that was one of my top like duologies I've ever read. I nearly cried reading that book. If not, I did cry. The Rose Bargain was so good. My review is, this just got me out of my reading slump. This book is truly the perfect blend of Bridgerton, the show, and the Shepherd King series, down to the riddles. I hope a second book is in the works. I love the dichotomy and the relationships of the brothers and the Benton sisters. It was done so well. This is kind of like taking place in Regency era. The female main character has a sister, and every year or every 7 years or something like that, you have to go to the queen and give her a bargain. And it's like pretty hair for like no toes, or a lot of money and you can't turn right. It's just kind of like weird, silly things, but it takes like a very dark twist and turn, and our female main character gets put into this like competition where she has to win the prince's love, and she gets put into a competition where she has to win the prince's love, and like I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's really, really good though. Like, I love that book so much. And there is a second book, which I need to start as soon as possible. I think I'm going to make another video reading like books in series and just do like a reading with me vlog of doing that. Okay, next is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I gave that book 4 stars. I didn't know that Bride was the first book, so I think I was a little bit confused because it kind of just like drops you off in the middle of nowhere. But this book is about a human hybrid. So she's half were, half human, and she joins a pack because she was like running away from something or someone. The alpha leader of the pack is like kind of this super broody, like grumpy kind of guy, and he realizes that she is his mate, and it kind of just like goes on about how they try to like interact with each other, and she's battling like a rare disease that hybrids can have. He doesn't know about it, and so it's just forced proximity trope. It's just really good. It's spicy. I really like the storyline. I think if I would have read the first book, I probably maybe would have rated it higher because it's a little bit more understandable that way, but still pretty good. Next, I started A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and I rated this book 4.5 stars. I really, really loved it. This book has been on my TBR for such a long time, and this is a retelling of Hades and Persephone, and I did do a little bit of research to understand the story of them because I didn't fully know like the background, but after doing that and then after reading this, I love the way that is done. If you are like a Greek mythology fan and you like kind of like the modern day retellings, you will absolutely love this book. And it's a nice, spicy book. Then next is The Maui Effect by Sarah Ackerman. I gave this book 3.75. I read this also in May, and this was about a girl who lives in Hawaii and a surfer boy who isn't from Hawaii, but he has a family best friend that lives in Hawaii, and they love to surf. She is super like about the environment and like saving the land and, you know, doesn't like the tourists. It kind of represents like what's kind of going on in Hawaii right now with the tourism and with the like gentrification and like the building and taking down, you know, like protected forests and things like that. She's a fighter. She's like Moana, to be honest. She's like a fighter for the forest. Um, what I didn't like about this is how, like, first of all, the author's white and she's writing this book as a native Hawaiian. Well, I guess half white and half Hawaiian. Maybe like the point of the story. I my review, I said I'm shocked by this book. I read it on a whim, and because it was advertised on my Kindle, but once I started, I couldn't put it down. I completely fell in love with the characters in the story. There's so many lessons learned and many real conversations about Hawaii. It gave me another perspective of how locals feel about tourists and more insight into their spiritual practices. Dane and Iwa are just real and messy like any relationship. The build up, the longing, the lust was all there in such a tasteful way. So it like was good for those reasons, but I just think the constant like the FMC Iwa, she was just a little bit annoying and like constantly complaining and like whining about things, and I feel like there were a couple plot holes, but it was a nice just like it would be a good like beach read. And if you're someone that cares about the environment, or maybe if you're going to Hawaii, it might be nice to read as well. Okay, moving on, we have read Broken Fae, which is the fourth book in the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, and I rated this book 4.25. Also, just super, super good. This story is just, there's so much that goes on. The books kind of start melding and meshing together, but trust me when I say you need to start the Zodiac series. Like, and you need to read everything. I have Wild Eyes, which is the second book in the Rose Hill series, and I finished this book in June. Now we're switching into June. I rated this book 4 stars. This series in general is about 4 single dads and follows like their life and their relationships and like their jobs. And what I really love about Elsie Silver's writing is how she talks about it's more than just the romance. It's like contemporary. It's more than just the spice. It's layers to the characters, and I feel like they just become super real and relatable, and I absolutely love that. This book in particular was about Wes, the male main character. He is a single dad with 2 kids. One of them is nonverbal, and a country star like comes driving into town. He happens to see her on the side of the road, and it just kind of goes from there. Next, I started Guild, The Plated Prisoner by Raven Kennedy. I kind of had an issue with this book because I wasn't sure if I was going to love it moving forward, and I had to ask my Fable community, like, do I keep reading this? They said yes, because our FMC is a pick-me to her core, but it's for a reason. So with that, you know, I understand. Book inspired by King Midas, but it's about the girl he turns to all gold, and she is kept as his prisoner. He saved her, so there's this weird savior complex that they have, and she feels like indebted to him, but he does have a wife who is the queen that he does not treat well, and it's just, I think you can kind of see where it's going. Like, she's just very pick-me, but what ends up happening is it's kind of giving me the same vibes as a Sarah J. Maas book, but not not Akatar, the other one, the old one with like the girl main character. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's giving me the vibes of that book, where it's like each book is going to be like a new adventure, a new journey, going to like a new location. Hearing what people had to say, I will be continuing the book, but I just need to take a break. And it was only a 3.75 because I was like, if she is like this throughout the rest of the series, like, I don't know if I can read this. Then I read 10,000 Hours with a Rich Menace, Caselli, Family Book 1. I don't know, like, family mob book, I guess. This is by Jaquel J. And I rated this book 3.75 because I do feel like there were some plot holes. So it was like a super like fast-paced, a lot going on type of book. Stevie is our FMC, Menace is our MMC, and they both come from different backgrounds, but their families like know of each other. I'm still like kind of lost on the family tree dynamic, but she has a friend who basically has like a sugar daddy. She's supposed to be going on this vacation with him and wants to bring Stevie, and Menace hears about it because the guy works for him or something, and so he kidnaps them. Stevie's friend throws her under the bus, and he's like, I'm not liking that, but instantly is attracted to Stevie. Menace deals with OCD and was molested when he was younger. So there are some like hard, difficult themes. But like I said, it was such a good read, and I just love like the representation. So that was all of the books that I read in June. Next video, we will be talking about the books I read in July. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys are reading, and let me know how you guys pick your and make your TBRs, because I've started doing that. I realize it's a little bit harder for me to find a book to read if I don't just make a TBR. I spend like more time looking for a book. And for July, I did make a TBR, and I feel like it's helping me like read more books because I already know or have an idea of what I want to read. But that is it. Make sure you guys subscribe so you guys can see the July video, and I do have a reading vlog coming up. And that is it. Love you guys. See you in the next video.